Well, hello there. So, today I'm going to be talking about the significance of education, and of course, this is where I would have the intro music if I had a theme, a musical theme for this podcast, but I don't, so I'm just going to introduce myself. So, my name is Wade, and welcome to Critical Wade Theory, where we delve into the most interesting topics of our time and occasionally do some movie and TV show reviews or whatever. So I'm your host, Wade, and today we're exploring a fundamental question: what is the purpose of education? And what do we truly learn in education, or what are we supposed to learn? And is it a way of life? So I'm doing this episode partly because, well, guess what? Our education system is largely under attack, mostly by far right interests and groups and lunatics. And, a lot of that has to do with people who do not value true education and instead would prefer indoctrination. So, when we're in a sort of situation as that one is, I think we need to sort of look at some of the basic questions of why is education valuable. And so this is a very meat and potatoes kind of episode. So what we learn in education, this is going to be like the first segment of the episode. Education encompasses a vast array of learning experiences, knowledge, skills, values, and habits acquired through schools, universities, workplaces, and everyday life. So obviously, education can vary from society to society and from person to person, but overall, I think there are definitely some general things that people will learn and most certainly should learn. So let's break down the key components of what we learn or should learn in a well rounded education. So, of course, there's academic knowledge, various subjects. We gain knowledge in subjects like mathematics, science, literature, history, and geography. Now, I'm not an expert on every subject by any means. It's all still a learning process for me. And for example, I suck at geography. I don't have, a mind like a steel trap, so I can't remember every historical fact that I encounter. Even though I've read some classic literature, I don't read nearly as often as I should, despite being a literature major when I was in college. My science skills are lacking. I suck at math. So basically, I'm being very self-deprecating here. But oddly enough, I'm still educated. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a super genius to be, reasonably well educated. And, each of these subjects contributes uniquely to our understanding of the world, and that's why we should not be completely shut down to all of these different subjects. So, determining which subject is most important would be challenging because each plays a crucial role in, how the world functions and our understanding of it. For instance, history provides context and cultural awareness. Geography offers global and environmental understanding. Mathematics develops problem solving skills, or at least supposedly it does. And science drives innovation and understanding of the natural world. And that's something that certain interests out there don't like. They don't like a naturalistic explanation for how the world works. And they see it as a bit of a spiritual warfare against their own understanding of the world. And so that's why education is largely under attack. So anyway, moving on to segment 2 of the episode. What about skills development? Education isn't just about academic knowledge. It also involves developing essential skills, like the basic skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic are foundational. It seems like even arithmetic comes into play even if somebody's not a huge fan of math. Even I use math sometimes, and I'm definitely not a big numbers guy. And, technical skills, these include computer literacy, engineering, and medical skills and training. Then there are so called soft skills like communication, teamwork, leadership, and time management. Those are all critical for personal and professional success. And, we do live in a very success driven society. But it's not all about, like monetary success or having, the biggest house or he who dies with the most toys wins. Sometimes success is just, based on leading a well-rounded life. And if you want that, well, I think you should still derive some of that from education and experience. So for segment 3, what about values and ethics? Well, education also instills important values and ethics, or at least it's supposed to. You get moral values like honesty, integrity, empathy, and respect for others. Well, if the education system is working correctly and all that. So, another aspect is civic responsibility, understanding our rights and responsibilities as citizens, and not just citizens of one country, but, global citizens as well. And on that note, cultural awareness. How about the awareness that other cultures exist? And subcultures even exist within a given culture. So you might have a different way of life that takes shape out of an initial culture. There might be a variation or two, or an example would be like religion, because there's all this talk about I believe in God or whatever, and if that's what you are, then I guess that's what you are. But it seems like everybody's God is a little bit different from everybody else's, right? They're individualized to some degree. So that would be sort of a fairly obvious example of the way that people's understanding of the world will splinter off. Even if they're not really trying to make it happen, it can just happen naturally. So one of the reasons we study society is that we can examine those types of changes, those different variations within cultures, and of course the broader variations and changes and distinctions between different people. So, that's sort of an important thing. Appreciating diversity and embracing different ways of thinking and working. Well, to the degree that that's even possible, of course. It's not always possible to equally embrace every different way of thinking, but you should have an awareness of different ideas that are out there. And segment 4, well, this all ties into personal growth. Education fosters personal growth in numerous ways. Self-discovery is a major part of it. It helps individuals identify their strengths, interests, and their passions. Emotional intelligence, too. Education teaches us to manage our emotions and understand others' feelings, And of course, others' ideas, which can be tied into feelings. And resilience and adaptability. Education prepares us to cope with challenges and changes. So that brings us to segment 5. Is education a way of life, or the way of life? Well, what I can say is that education is more than formal schooling. It's a lifelong process that shapes who we are and how we navigate and perceive the world. So, let's explore this concept further. How is it a lifelong process? Well, education doesn't end with graduation. It continues throughout our lives. Continuous learning and self-improvement are vital for personal and professional growth. So, there's also it's called holistic development, Education shapes our worldview, enhances our understandings of the environment, and provides tools to navigate life effectively. It contributes to the holistic development of an individual. And another thing I believe I mentioned earlier was adaptation and innovation. In our rapidly changing world, education helps us adapt to new technologies and work environments and societal shifts. It fosters innovation and creativity, which are essential for progress and problem solving. And guess what? Education is well known to be a part of social and economic mobility. Education is often seen as a key driver of social and economic mobility. It opens doors to better employment opportunities, higher income, and an improved quality of life. Well, it can. It doesn't always do that, but it's it's a good idea to have an education if you want to increase your odds of living a better life. And of course, cultural transmission is a part of it. Education helps transmit cultural heritage, traditions, and values from one generation to the next, ensuring the continuity and evolution of societies. Of course, there's always going to be a debate about which cultural ideas should be transmitted from one generation to the next, but I'll leave that largely aside for now. And informed citizens are typically a good thing. An educated populace is crucial for a functioning democracy, which is another thing that I would say is under attack. You know, Being informed as a citizen enables individuals to make well informed decisions, engage in public discourse, and contribute to their communities. If you're not well informed, you're not going to be able to help as much. And, overall, I'd say that education is a foundational aspect of life that facilitates personal growth, societal development, and the ability to deal with the world effectively. It's not just a phase of life, but a lifelong journey that enriches us in countless ways. Well, maybe you could count the ways, but whatever. So, this was again a very meat and potatoes type of episode. And some of those are my favorite ones, where I just talk about the basics of how society is supposed to work. And I'll thank you for joining me on the episode of Critical Weight Theory. If you enjoyed this topic, this very broad and general topic, please subscribe on YouTube if you've listened to it there. And feel free to leave a review. If you disagree with me for some reason, like if you're if you're a dumbass who hates education, well, let me know about that. I can make fun of you or something. And, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the purpose and significance of education. Let me know how it's worked out for you, if it's worked out well or if it's backfired. And until next time, keep learning and growing. And here would be the outro music if I had any.